Hey, just letting you know that we've had the team's expectations through for the upcoming qualifying session.
Hey guys, how's it going? Owners here, and welcome to a new video on the channel. Welcome to a new F1 2016 career mode video. And as you can see, as we enter our laptop, on the left hand side of your screen you can see the 3 programs which we ran in the practice sessions. They were all 3 perfect. So far we're having an extremely great weekend in Monaco. The practice sessions went well. Not only did we complete the programs with perfect condition, so maximum resource points available, the pace was also quite there. Not necessarily enough to be first, but perhaps we could get a podium spot. That's the way I went into this qualifying session. Finally, we are going to invest our resource points in another engine upgrade. That's what I decided.
We're here in magical Monaco for this afternoon's qualifying session, which will be getting underway shortly.
So I had a quick look at the calendar basically before I invested the upgrades, and I saw that the next races were something like Baku, Austria as well. And I was kind of doubting between investing the resource points in the chassis upgrade or the engine upgrade. However, looking again at the next races, especially Baku, I thought it was more of a wise choice to invest it in engine power. Or an engine power upgrade, because at Baku and Austria, you know, those are quite powered tracks, so to say. So, well, there we go. We are currently in Q1, and I was quite confident, as I said, in the practice sessions. That's why I went out on the super soft tire instead of the ultra soft, and set a lap time which was this time enough for 6th place. In the end it was enough for 10th place. So not bad at all. We have basically saved ourselves a set of ultra softs. Bottas in the end out of qualifying. That's quite surprising. However, 10th place on the super soft tire, that's not bad. However, coming into Q2, I thought in order to get through to Q3 we would be better off using the super soft compound. So yeah, I selected a set of super soft tires, excuse me, and we're going to set a lap then. So let's see what we can do. I mean, in the third practice session, part of the practice program, you have to do a qualifying lap, and I think at the end of the third practice we were something like 2nd. That was quite impressive. However, in the qualifying, the AI usually ups their pace quite a bit, so honestly I would sign for 4th place to make a bit of a mess at the end of that first sector there. And in fact we're already half a second down on Rosberg, so that's not good. But usually the AI pick up their pace from practice to qualifying, so I would sign for P4, something like that. Again, I think it will be hard to go for a win this weekend. Would be fantastic if we could, but you have to be realistic as well. And at this time I thought that a pole position or P1 would be unrealistic and just unachievable basically. So again, I would sign for something like P4. However, firstly we have to go through to Q3, of course. That's the main task right now. In the second sector we lost another 2/10, something right about there, to Rosberg. So not the best lap ever, most likely, especially at the end of the middle sector. I did make quite a bit of a mess of that. DRS is wide open then for the run to the line, and we are setting a 1:14.2, puts us up into 3rd place at the moment, so not too bad. And with 2 more minutes to go in quali, nothing changed. So we stayed in P3, which is quite surprising. Monaco is usually a track where the gaps are relatively close. Having said that, Hamilton and Verstappen both set their times on the super soft tire, which is interesting for the race because they will be starting the race on that set of tires. So into Q3 then, Rosberg immediately sets the tone with a 1:13.8. Remember, we have set a 1:14.2. Now I knew that I was able to improve on that lap, because let's be honest, the Q2 lap was somewhat scruffy. So I know that I can get a bit faster than that. I can probably get into the 13s, but I don't know if I can match Rosberg with what he did at 13.8, and I see that Ricciardo in the meantime has even gone quicker. And also don't forget that Verstappen and Hamilton were on the super soft tire in Q2, so they will be most likely on this ultra soft now and perhaps move themselves up in front of us. So here we go, Q3 lap then. This is the moment of truth, so to say. Fantastic first corner there, that's a really good start of the lap. This was my first run. I was planning to do 2 runs in this third qualifying session. Then up the hill, this is where I made the mistake before. This time we have a smooth turn in, much better than we did before. Verstappen setting a 1:13.8 in the meantime. We're about a 10th down at the end of the first sector of Verstappen. Not too bad, could have been better, could have been worse. Especially the first turn was really smooth for us, so we probably gained a little bit of time there. Coming through the rest of the second sector now, this is an important section. Get hard on the power as you enter the tunnel. Up to 4th, 5th, 6th and eventually up to 7th as well. Before picking your brake marker for the Nouvelle chicane. 100 meter board down to second gear. Make sure that you don't cut this. We go a little bit deep into here. Could have been a little bit better, very close to the wall on the exit. Then you go up to the gears again. 50 meter board down to 4th gear. Get close on the to the wall on the exit. I could have gone even closer there. And we're actually up on Verstappen's time. Vettel is in the meantime gone up to first place. Now 1 more sector to go. Really, fighting the wheel, trying to make corrections. Hamilton in the meantime has set a 1:13.5. I don't think we'll be able to match that right on the exit of the final corner. DRS wide open for the run to the line. And what can we do? It's a 1:13.5. Incredible. Something I did not expect at all. We're pole position then, provisional pole position with a 1:13.5. And in fact, it was enough. It was enough for pole position.
Top three, who are a Renault, Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the Grand Prix itself gets underway.
So basically, I had enough after one run, basically. I could have done two. I did another run as well, but I straight away messed up in the first turn. But P1, I did not see that one coming, and a 13.5, considering I did a 14.2 before. It's quite a step.
Take a deep breath and enjoy the moment. It's a very special time of the season once again, as we prepare for racing here this afternoon. There's no better test of driver, no more prestigious race to win, no bigger an occasion than the Monaco Grand Prix.
Okay, it's a short run to Saint-Devant, and you know what Monaco's like, so try to defend this lead.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. It's Renault in pole position then, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Vettel, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Raikkonen, Alonso, Rosberg, Massa and Daniel Kvyat, Button, Hülkenberg, Romain Grosjean and Perez, Sainz, Palmer, Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson, Gutierrez and Harry Anto, Felipe Nasser and Valtteri Bottas starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
To be truly honest, and this is always what a racing driver does, the qualifying lap could have been a bit better. Especially the final sector was a little bit off in the, what is it? Roskas? Is it called Roskas? The penultimate corner, so to say, where Schumacher parked his car in 2006. There we saw the setup. The lights are going on now, so important to have a good start at Monaco, of course. Lights are out, next round of the season is on the way. Hamilton, looking in the mirror, has had a decent start. However, he lost out a little bit in the second zone, and then it's a really short run, of course, down into turn 1, so we dive into that first, which is good. However, there's immediately a plan here which we have to follow in order to make this race a success, I feel. And that is because Hamilton is on a different strategy. He's on the super soft tire. Vettel behind him is on the ultra soft, so I have to use Hamilton right now as an advantage. And if I don't do it now, I'm afraid Hamilton will be behind us throughout the rest of the race. So I was willing to use a little bit more fuel in the opening stages of this race, trying to create a gap to Hamilton, and then hoping that Sebastian Vettel basically would be stuck behind him. Because let's be honest, Hamilton on the super soft tire, he's in the Mercedes of course, but yeah, it is a bit of a difference of course when you are on a harder compound, super soft compared to ultra soft. Immediately you can see as well a gap created, 1.4 it is, so that's good. It was still there in the chicane, could have been worse. So this is where I think I could have done a little bit of a better job in quali. However, you know, how many perfect qualifying laps do you get in Monaco? Well, you know, in any venue basically, but let alone Monaco, you know, you don't always get a perfect lap here. So immediately creating that gap, like I said before, was willing to use quite a bit of fuel. In fact, if this is going to keep on going, it may be a bit of a boring race, but yeah, boring or not, I don't mind it. It would be fantastic to win. And I said it before, when I went into quali, I really didn't have the idea that I could be on pole position. Yes, I know that this was probably going to be the strongest weekend so far, because in practice it also looked quite promising. And to be honest, after Catalonia, where we didn't have such a great weekend, I put in a little bit more effort into practice as well, because I wanted to make up a little bit after what we did in Catalonia. So far we're doing that. However, you should know as well, 39 laps around Monaco, it could all be over in a split second. So you have to be careful and aware of that. 2.7 to Hamilton, bit of a slide through that chicane, trying to push and trying to open up the gap. I started with a low tank, again, a low amount of fuel in the tank, a low amount of liters. Again, all because of the plan where we are trying to create a gap to Hamilton in the opening couple of laps, and in fact it's going perfect so far. At the end of lap 3, you can see it over here, we're opening up lap 4. The gap to Hamilton is approximately 4 seconds. Yep, it is 4 seconds, so spot on, and that is fantastic. So the plan I talked about before is working, and at this stage I was quite comfortable with that gap and thought, let's take it a little bit more easy. You know, I'm about, you know, I'm over a lap short of fuel basically. You can see that on the right hand side of your screen. So we're gonna have to save fuel at some point in the race as well. You know, we have got quite a comfortable gap right now, so why not, you know, take it a little bit more easy now, stop pushing, conserve a bit of fuel, but manage the gap, of course. You know, you have to manage the gap right now. If you create a gap like that, you're basically, you know, focusing on the on managing that gap throughout the entire rest of the race. Nouvelle chicane there. Again, it is hard to cut. It's a track where cutting is relatively easy. Also in some parts not really, of course, because the walls are so close to you and there's not really a lot of runoff. However, you can make some unnecessary cuts, let me call them like that. I think, yeah, well, that's a bit of a stupid description, isn't it? Because cuts are always a little bit unnecessary. But for example, you can cut the swimming pool chicane, which is the very quick left-right in the third sector. Nate, is it the third sector? It's the end of the second sector or the start of the third sector, I'm not entirely sure. It is the start of the third sector, I think. So you can get a cut there basically, which is quite interesting because it's such a quick chicane, you wouldn't really expect it, there's not a lot of runoff, but you can get a cut there, so that's where you have to be a bit aware of. And yeah, furthermore, into turn 1 sometimes maybe, there's also a bump in the braking zone of turn 1, which can sometimes throw your car around a bit, so it can sometimes put you up more to the inside than you expect or more to the outside than you expect, and obviously when you're too far on the inside or more than on the inside than you expect, you can get a cut. So yeah, have to be careful with that one. Lap 10 of this race out of 39, so we're about 25% through this race. Hamilton is yet to stop, we are all yet to stop, in fact the whole top 3. Vettel is still behind Hamilton then, but will most likely be the first to pit. Maybe Vettel will even be first to pit, trying to force an undercut on Hamilton. Having said that, I think Hamilton is slowly starting to pick up a bit of pace. These ultra softs from Vettel will start to wear. He's got a 2.1 second gap to Hamilton himself. So Hamilton seems to be pretty clear from pressure from behind him, which is obviously Vettel. And so far, yeah, a pretty clean race. I mean, I haven't been able to really detect a big mistake. What is true is that, oh, there we go, see, that's a cut. Yeah, I was already thinking about it, so have to be careful with that. First cut of this race. Luckily you get a few chances before you pick up a penalty, so we should be good. But again, Hamilton relieving from a bit of pressure, I guess, from behind. And we are doing our job, keeping it out of the barriers and managing the gap to Hamilton.
1 minute 15.4.
We skip to the start of lap 14, and you can see Hamilton actually has gone into the pit lane first. That is an extremely, you know, interesting given, because Hamilton was on the super soft tire. I'm sure you guys will know it as well. It's a little bit weird then to enter the pits first when you're on a harder compound. If he wants to do a one stop, I assume he hasn't gone to the ultra soft, because no way this guy is going to do 25 laps on a set of ultra soft. So I'm assuming he has gone to soft, the soft tire. And we will be going for the super soft tire on our next stop, which is coming up quite shortly. And if we do 15 laps on the ultra soft, then we can do about 25 laps on the super soft. I assume it's Monaco. However, 15, 25, no, that's still a little bit of a gap. So maybe we'll be going with something like 17, and how many laps is then remaining? 22. Yeah, that makes quite a bit of sense as well. We'll see. Maybe we'll enter the pit lane right now as well. Actually, are we going to enter the pit? No. It's a bit tricky when you are going to lap a car there, by the way, because you're side by side as soon as you pass the pit entry line, the pit entry. If the outside car, so let's say if that Sauber were to pit, he would basically turn in on me, basically, or he had to brake, and that would be the wise choice. But you never know with the AI; they could as well just turn in on you. Luckily, that didn't happen there, and we're going to notify the engineer that we're. You saw that? Bit of a slide there as the tires started to wear. It is really easy to touch the barrier there with the rear end of your car because you are oversteering. That was rather close, I think. But as I said, we're notifying the engineer that we are coming in to the pit lane at the end of this lap, and so it will be about 24 laps on the super soft. And honestly, that shouldn't be an issue. We should be able to do that. Also, should be able to rejoin in. Not necessarily in first because Button maybe stays out, but surely in front of Hamilton. 2.7 pit stop, reasonably okay, not the best ever, not the slowest. And there we go then, super soft tires for us. This is our final pit stop. Button indeed comes by, I think, looking on the minimap. Yep, that is Button. So Button takes the lead of this race. Bit of a screenshot moment for all the McLaren Honda fans. We have exited the pit lane in front of Hamilton, in fact in front of Perez as well, so Hamilton could be in a bit of traffic, which is only more to our advantage. And let's be honest, if we just do the same kind of job we did in the first stint, there's no way really we are going to give this victory away, because you can see the fuel as well. We've managed the fuel in the first stint. We're actually down on fuel usage, which means we're basically having fuel to spare, and everything seems to be under control. Simple as that. So 24 laps to go then, like I said, something weird has to happen if we want to lose this lead, but you never know. I mean, we're behind Button right now, 6/10 is the gap. We're obviously on the fresh super softs. He is on worn ultra softs. He's going into the pit. Yes, he is. So again, like I said, with that Sauber as well, you do have to be a little bit careful when people are on old tires and they are ahead of you or even alongside you when they are going to enter the pit lane. With Button there, I think I had to lift a little bit where you would be on the power, but nothing too serious. Rather, of course, would avoid an incident than having an incident with Button. The engineer is really talkative for some reason. The last, what is it? The last 2-3 sectors, the last lap or so. He has been very talkative. Oh, there he goes again. Yeah, I kind of like what they did in F1 2016, where I think they did it in 2015 as well, didn't they? Ooh, very close to the wall. You can basically talk to your engineer, you can say certain sentences and he'll basically understand what you're saying. And give an update, for example. At the start of F1 2016, I was a little bit lost with all those features. I did not know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. But you know, I've pretty much settled in right now with that. You know, there are no further issues for me anymore, and you're pretty much used to the game within 2 or 3 races and all the features it has. These most features, at least. We're going to open up lap 18, so well, we're not even halfway through the race. A lot still can happen, but again, Hamilton is on the soft tire, the harder compound. Something weird has to happen if we don't want to be winning here at the end of lap 39. At the same time, it's Monaco. You don't know what's going to happen. One tap with the barrier and it's all over, especially with the new damage model in F1 2016, where the suspension can fly off, and we've got the damage set to sim, so simulation, and not to, what is it, the other setting, realistic, I think. Sauber going nicely out of the way there for us. We even pick up a little bit of DRS on him, doing a 116.2, which is reasonably slower than what we did at the beginning of this stint, about 2 or 3 laps ago, 4 maybe. But still, that doesn't matter. You just have to keep lapping consistently. That's the most important thing right now. You're having the gap of 6 seconds you're having, and you have just got to manage that. You don't even have to push. You just have to manage that gap. Make sure that it stays around 5 seconds, 4 maybe, but you know, don't let it come closer than 2 seconds.
Pit strategy complete. See these tires through to the end now. 17 laps
17 laps to go. Again behind the back marker. He should get out of the way quite soon. Keeps on going though. He doesn't get blue flags yet, does he? I don't think he actually does. No, because the lights aren't flashing on those, what is it? Yeah, how would you call those? Like lamp posts, they are almost. Alongside the track.
Okay, as it stands, we'll be 7th in the championship.
See, and here I'm just... now he gets blue flags. I'm just talking to the engineer basically and see what his reply is going to be like, because I have nothing else to do in this race basically, so why not talk with the engineer and see how that all works. We pick up DRS again on the back marker, then again I'm going to talk to the engineer apparently. No, I don't, okay. But whatever. And the guy up ahead didn't get out of the way there. But Hamilton has in the meantime also been stuck behind the back marker, lost a bit of time, assuming he is behind the Sauber or something like that, I don't even know. But he has lost some time in the meantime, so that's good for us, because I guess we're losing quite a bit of time too behind this Toro Rosso we're behind. Let's see if he moves out of the way quite soon. He has been getting blue flags since start of sector 3, I think, maybe even before. The end of the second sector then from previous lap. This is a good place to get out of the way. And he does, okay. Good. Very good. So again, there's no real threat to the race victory here, unless I make a mistake. But hopefully I won't do that. It's always very close to the walls, obviously, at Monaco. That's what the track characteristics are like. But you do need to keep it under control, and there I have a little, cut. A bit of an extent, depends on the way you look at it. And it's something you want to avoid, because that has been the second warning this race. And perhaps if we do it one more time and we get a third warning, we get a penalty, so to say. I think it's in steps of 3 seconds, is it? So you get free penalty, second penalty, if you cross the border, cross the limit, so to say, and then it's another 3, or does it jump up to 5 or something? I don't even know. I'm not exactly sure. 7.6 to Hamilton, or 7.8, so he gained roughly 8 tenths. But you know, those are not the kind of... Ooh, I do it again. Yeah, and there we have it! There we have it! There is that 3 second time penalty. Oh, yoy yoy. That is super unnecessary. And now we have to look behind for 10 laps long. The positive thing is that the gap is still like 7.8 seconds. We've got a 3 second penalty, so we need to make sure that we finish 3 seconds ahead of Hamilton. But that was so super unnecessary, and there is no need at all for me to cut the corner over there. And now I got a little bit worried. I mean, it's 7.7 seconds, but Hamilton has been closing down in a couple of laps on this soft tire. That soft tire will have better durability than our super softs as well, so maybe the pace advantage will even be bigger towards the end of the race, and that is something I am not very happy with, of course. But it's my own fault. I mean, I was warned twice already. That's enough, and I made the cut, and it was just so, you know, unnecessary. There's no need at all for a driver to cut that corner over there in that you know, in that situation, in that condition. So maybe a little bit of daydreaming as well, because I'm a few seconds up front. You know, you start daydreaming perhaps. Now you can see again, I'm basically fully over the curb, but last time round I was, with all 4 wheels basically on the curbing, and that's too much. So who's this car again in front of us? It's the Toro Rosso, is it? Yes, it is. Is he getting blue flags now? But the AI is not very keen on moving out of the way. Good news is that Hamilton... Ooh, careful man, that was a cut. That was a clear cut, I'm not gonna lie. I was very lucky to get away with that one. And finally the Toro Rosso gets out of our way, but honestly I got really lucky with that. It may as well have been another cut, then it's maybe game over. Again, I don't really know how they set up the rules for that. If you get the 6 second penalty when you cut, or a 6 second penalty total, so 3 plus 3, or whether you get something like 8 penalty in total, 3 plus 5. I don't know. And I would rather not discover it either. I mean, honestly, the game could have given me clearly a penalty for that, and I would have accepted it as well, because that was a clear cut. However, I guess I got away with that one, and yeah, I have to be thankful for that. Coming through the tunnel, we'll obviously manage the gap to Hamilton as much as we can. We'll look at the gap as much as we can, see if he closes up. Yeah, just so close to the barrier on the exit there. That barrier on the left hand side, it sticks out a little bit, but you know, you try to straighten up the car as much as possible. That's why you get so close to it. 8 seconds to Hamilton, so we're in fact extending the gap again. So it doesn't necessarily look like we have to worry here. Yes, we've got a 3-second penalty, but we're also extending the gap to Hamilton again. Having said that, looking on the minimap, there may be some traffic for Hamilton which is impeding him, or is it which is impeding him? Which is impeding him? There is some traffic which could be impeding him. I think that's the right sentence. If it's not, correct me. Final lap of the race. Ooh, close. Close. And the gap to Hamilton is 6.7 seconds as we got some overs there on the exit of the first corner. I'm sure you would have seen that. May even have tapped the barrier with the rear wheel. I'm not entirely sure on that one. However, last lap of the race is counting. 6-second gap to Hamilton, 6-second plus even. And I don't think that we'll be giving this one away. But honestly, it didn't really look like we gave it away in the first place already from the point onwards where Hamilton basically pitted for soft. And that's obviously good news for us. I mean, you do have to keep it clean. Again, it's Monaco, so it's easy to bin it and yeah, end up with a face full of barriers. That didn't happen though. That's good. I did make a mistake, of course, where I got a penalty, rightly so, because I got the corner. If you cut corners, then you may not complain, in my opinion, if you do get a penalty, because there is all right then that you get a penalty. Coming through the final sector of this race, and there will be no issues for us whatsoever. Having a bit of fun here, because it is quite nice to drive around Monaco in this car today. I felt really at one with the car. Yeah, is it at one? Yeah, I felt really one with the car. I think that's the right sentence, and we run out of fuel as we cross the line. So, first victory of the season. Not bad at all to do it in Monaco. I guess Monaco is not the AI their strongest points, and that also contributed to the win.
A great win then for the Renault team today.
And the pole position, of course, that was important too.
Tell me, what was the key to this success?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
As we can see, it's time for the podium, and I can see the Renault team underneath our commentary box going crazy as their drivers walk out. It was a great win, and it means a great deal to this team.
So where does this bring us, you know, from this race onwards? I mean, next race is, I think, Canada, Montreal. Fantastic circuit. Again, a circuit where barriers are quite close to the track. And I immediately remind myself of the race of the Wall of Champions. But for now, let's celebrate a P1.
Who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
Well, I have to give it to Lewis Hamilton. You know, it was just the kind of drive you'd expect from a multiple world champion.
And now let's take a look at the constructors' standings. We saw a dip in form from the championship leaders today. Their lead has taken a significant blow. It was also a standout performance from Manor Racing today. Great stuff from them to move up the standings. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Guys, is it me, or do you have to be retarded to say that Hamilton is there the driver of the day? I mean, is it me? You know, is it normal that the Renault is up front? I don't know, but maybe, you know, maybe it is. I don't know. However, the resource points, we gained quite a good amount of resource points there, which is nice. We can invest that in future developments, of course. And because of that victory as well, we also we absolutely wrecked Romain Grosjean, speaking with a nice Spanish R there, a bit like Fernando Alonso. And here we see the driver position in the team. I mean, you know, couldn't be any better. Thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Have a beautiful day and take care. Goodbye.